Very happy to be here with our friends in New York and all of our friends that are streaming with us on this very important Shabbat. And I was thinking this week as I was preparing for the Shabbat, also today, is that we're going to, as they say, cover a lot of ground today. There's a lot of details we're going to get into, but the ultimate purpose of all of these understandings and stories is to come to both appreciate, understand, and appreciate the power of this Shabbat, and what work has to get done, what elevation, Bezrat Hashem, are we going to receive on this Shabbat. So to begin with, the literal story ends with Moshe, with Moses, as many of us know, up until now, starting in the portion of Trumah, the Israelites gathered gold and silver and materials, and they built together they built the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the physical resting place of the light of the Creator in this world. In Pekudei, in the last portion, Moses sits down, and basically it's a story of accounting. He accounts for what was used where, and which gold here, which silver there. And then, as the story progresses, it says, Ve'et ha'elef 775. There's parts of the shekalim that Moses says specifically went, he didn't know where it went. And I'd like to share with you the story in the Midrash, because again, as we begin to understand what starts as an accounting issue, we will come to quickly see actually is a detailed understanding of our souls. It says the following. Shenigmera melechet hamishkan, when the building was completed, amar lahem bo v'ani oseh lachem cheshbon. Moses sits down with the Israelites, with the millions of Israelites, and now I'm going to tell you what money went where, what materials went to what parts. Amar lahem Moshe ele pekudei hamishkan, and that's how the portion begins. This is the accounting. Kach vekach yatza lamishkan. This is used here, this was used there, but Ad shehu yoshev umechashev, as Moses is going through the accounting of the different materials and the different monies, shachach be'elef u'shva me'ot v'chamisha v'shivim. There was 1,775 that he did not remember what it was used for. And then Masa, he forgot what had happened. It took him some time. He's sitting there. It looks like he's just sitting there racking his brain to figure out what happened with those shekels, what happened with that amount of money. Then he says, Itchil yoshev u'matmiya. And he was worried. How could it be that he forgot? By the way, I'm thinking most of us probably wouldn't remember even a small part of it, but Moses had clearly recollection of where every part was used. But these shekels, this amount of money, he forgot what it was used for. Masa, what happened? What did he do? He'ira kadosh baruch hu einav. The Creator opened up his eyes, made his eyes see. V'ra'a otam asuyim vavim la'amudim. And he realized, or he saw, that they were used as kind of nails that held in the borders of what's called the Mishkan, the tabernacle. Okay. Very strange story. So Moses is making accounting. He forgets this amount of shekels. What happened with them? And the Creator opened up his eyes. And he saw that they were made as the ways to hold on, to make the borders, the materials that made the walls around the Mishkan stand. Again, there must be something deeper here, right? This isn't, of course, we never read the Torah as a literal story, but this seems like an even more pointless story of accounting. Moses forgets, the Creator opens up his eyes. It gets even I would say more strange or even more deep when we learn from the great Kabbalist, the Megaleh Mukot. He says the following. Ksheshachach Moshe, in the Midrash it seems to imply that just somehow the light of the Creator made him remember, opened up his eyes and he saw it. But the Megaleh Mukot, the great Kabbalist, says actually something else happened here. Something deeper happened here. When Moses forgot the monies that went towards those nails that held in the materials that made up the wall, he could not account, he could not remember what happened with that money, with those monies. Ad sheba elav nishmato shel Rabbi Akiva. What had to happen is that the soul of the great sage Rabbi Akiva had to come to him. Az amar ve'et ha'elef shva meot chamisha v'shivim. Then he remembered it was the soul of Rabbi Akiva that revealed to Moses what happened with those materials, with that amount of shekel, with that amount of money. Again, you have to understand what's going on here. We know most of us know the soul of Rabbi Akiva only manifested in this world many, many years after Moses left this physical world. And here we find something strange. Moses loses account for a certain amount of money, what happened to it in the Mishkan. Rabbi Akiva, that great soul, had to come back in time or at least in space, from the world of the souls, and revealed to Moses what happened to that money. Again, it went to the Vayakhel-Pekudei, it went to those nails that hold in the materials that make up the wall of the Mishkan. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about money? Are we talking about a simple accounting? You had to have a soul that came from so far in the future to come back to Moses to reveal to him the secret of what happened with that money. So to begin to understand this question, this story, more importantly, to begin to understand what this Shabbat is about, I'd like to share with you another beautiful teaching, very important teaching from the great Kabbalist, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. He says the following: Kol ha-nefashot te'evim u'mita'avim lemamon. The beautiful thing about the Kabbalah is you always want to understand, even when you see things in nature, you see things in human nature, there always has to be a spiritual reason for it. He says, why is it that most people in the world desire money? Why is it that most people in the world spend their lives in the pursuit of money? It can't just be, again, as we know, you need money to buy things, to live well, and so on and so forth. There must be a deeper spiritual understanding. He says, Ze machamat, and this is a very important secret that has many ramifications, only a few of which we'll speak of. Sha'nefesh ba mimakom elyon. Our soul, of course, we know, comes from a very high spiritual place. Shehamamon ba umishtalshel umithaveh misham. The internal energy of money also comes from the place that our soul comes from. So the DNA of the spiritual DNA of money is the same spiritual DNA of our soul. And therefore there is such a correlation between the soul's desire, the soul's awakening, even for, again, money that is manifested in a physical way. Because the source, the spiritual root of money and the spiritual root of the soul is the same. And therefore there is a desire from one to the other, from the soul to money. Of course, money, before it becomes physical money in our world, in its source, it's very high and powerful, elevated energy. And only later does it become manifest in a material way, in a physical way in our world as money. And that's how money becomes money. But the root, again, the root internal energy, DNA of money, is the same source as where souls come from. So before we go any further, there's one more important secret that he reveals. But when we are talking about the monies in this week's portion, clearly we're not talking about money. We're talking about the root of money, which is the same root where souls came from, which means that the money that Moses forgot, what Moses was accounting for, was the souls, was the root of the souls, where that energy went. So that's our beginning of our understanding. But before we go further, I'd like to share one more teaching, which I think is both powerful and hopefully very practical from this section, from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. He says that there's a third physical manifestation that also comes from that root. So soul, money, and anger. And he says the following: when money is meant to come to somebody, and again it starts as a completely purely spiritual essence, and it begins becoming, coming down in the world's lower and lower until it finally manifests in our world. Before it manifests as money, it's a pure, powerful energy, and then it has to go through a process of becoming of the material world. It has to become veiled within the realm of money, the physical money. When the negative side sees that a person has awakened that flow from the source of his soul, which is the same source of spiritual energy within money. The negative side wants to divert that energy to manifest in a different place. Because, that's the system, right? The system of the light of the Creator desires to give us light and blessings and all things. And there's another system that is there to oppose that, to try to make sure that every blessing that comes down becomes corrupted. Every energy that becomes manifest goes in the wrong place. So, he says, הבעל דבר כשרואה שמשלשל ויורד שפע לאדם שיהיה לו ממון. When the negative side sees that this person has awakened the holy, pure, powerful energy that's going to manifest down into our world for him or for her as money, אז היורד ומזמין לו כעס. The negative side quickly says, let me try to awaken this person to manifest that same energy and as anger, to become angry. ועושה לו מבחינת ההשפעה והשתלשלות שיורד אליו שיהיה לו ממון, and then if he succeeds, if the person becomes angry, if the person falls to anger, then the negative side has succeeded in taking that same energy that was coming down to manifest for that person as money, as sustenance, and it manifests as anger. עושה לו ממנו כעס, כי הכעס הוא ממש בחינה אחת. Because as we said, again, the source of souls, the spiritual source of money, and the spiritual source of anger, it's all the same energy. One manifested as soul, one manifested as money, and one manifested as anger. And therefore, a person, he says, almost always, whether it's great amounts or small amounts, whenever money is meant to become manifest, and it was drawn by the individual, by their soul, by their desire, and it begins manifesting into the world, the negative side is going to quickly try to find a situation for that person to awaken anger or any type of negative emotion related to that. And then chas v'shalom, if he succeeds, then that person becomes angry, and that same energy that was meant to come as money becomes manifest as anger. Interesting. So, as we said, this is a very, hopefully this also is a very practical, newer understanding of the danger of anger. Because the energy is coming down, we choose whether it manifests as money, as sustenance, chas v'shalom, as if it manifests as anger. But back to the original idea, which is that when we're talking about money, we're not talking about money. We're talking about the internal energy of money, which is the same internal energy and the same root as souls. So when Moses was sitting and taking an account, he was actually appointing or thinking about and speaking about each soul's purpose. Each soul's purpose. And there was a certain group of souls, or one can say a certain energy, that Moses forgot about. Moses forgot about. What was this group of souls? What was this energy that Moses forgot about? And what was it that Rabbi Akiva, the great Kabbalist, teacher of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, revealed? There's some special revelation through the soul of the great sage Rabbi Akiva that transformed the understanding of Moses and hopefully will transform our own understanding. I hope we're not getting too detailed because I'm going to tell you now another story, and there's about 3 or 4 more to come. One more story. Many of us, I think, have heard this story before, but hopefully now we will understand it in a deeper and more powerful way. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav. The sages teach, B'sha'ah she'ala Moshe lamarom, when Moses went up to the heavens to receive the Torah, right? That time at Sinai when Moses became so connected to the light of the Creator to become a channel to reveal the light of the Torah in this world. Mitza'o lahakadosh baruch hu, sheyoshev vekosher ktarim laotiyot. He saw that the Creator was not taking care of or paying attention to the letters of the Torah, but rather the crowns. As most of us know, the crowns that are written or that appear above the letters. Amar lefanav ribono shel olam mi me'akev al yadcha. Moses asks the Creator, which soul, which person is the person in charge of the work that you're doing now, which was work that was beyond the work of Moses? Amar lo yesh echad liyot, atid liyot besof kama dorot. There will be a soul many generations from now, and there will be one person, his name is Akiva ben Yosef, Akiva the son of Joseph, she'atid lidrosh al kol kotz vekotz tilei tilin shel halachot. And he said, this soul of Rabbi Akiva is going to be the one that's going to reveal the secret of these crowns above the letters. Moses says to the Creator, I want to see this soul. So the Creator tells Moses, come into the room. We know that even when the souls, even before they manifest in this world, in the supernal worlds, they're revealing light, they're revealing wisdom. Moses is desiring to see this great soul that is doing work on what's called the crowns, right? The parts above the letters that even Moses couldn't do or couldn't connect to. But the Creator says, okay, you want to see the great soul of Rabbi Akiva, sit, you have to move back to the 8th row, he tells him, because what he's about to reveal is something beyond you, Moses. Interesting. But Moses had all the secrets, had all the wisdom. He sits in the 8th row, Moses, and he can't understand a word that Rabbi Akiva is teaching. Moses, the source of all the Torah, is sitting and listening to Rabbi Akiva. He cannot comprehend a word that Rabbi Akiva is revealing. And Moses starts feeling bad for himself. He says, I'm the source I'm the revealer of wisdom to the Israelites, to the world, and I can't even understand what this soul Rabbi Akiva is revealing. In the middle of the conversation of the study, one of the students of the souls asks Rabbi Akiva a question. How do you know this? And Rabbi Akiva says, this is given down from Moses at Sinai. So Moses felt better because in some way he must have been the root for this wisdom. Okay, let's take a step back from the story. Moses comes upon the Creator doing something that was beyond him. And then he asks, which soul awakens that light? And the Creator tells him it's Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, the great Kabbalist teacher of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. What was this conversation? How does it relate, again, to the forgotten monies, or now we understand the forgotten souls? Kabbalah sees something very, very important. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will come to understand, again, its power and its importance on this Shabbat. In life, there's really two forces at work. And certainly all of us who are studying Kabbalah, we're aware of both of these. We think we're very aware. I hope from this Shabbat we come to realize how little we are aware, at least of one of them. There's two forces that create in this world. Every person who accomplishes anything, from the smallest to the greatest thing in this world, and even people who don't accomplish anything, they have at least one part of it. So the Kabbalists teach that everything is either desire or manifestation. Desire, ratzon, that powerful ancient word, desire or manifestation. Most of us, even those of us who understand, certainly through Kabbalah, but through life, that in order to manifest, of course you have to first have desire. If you don't have desire, there's no way you're going to manifest anything. But our understanding of desire is that what is the purpose of desire? To help me manifest. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to build this. I want to do that. I want to create a family. I want to create a business. Whatever it is that I want to create, of course, I have a desire for it. And then I go about manifesting that desire. What about desire that does not become manifest? What about pure desire? Desire that has not become manifest, that maybe even never becomes manifest. This was the struggle of Moses, and this was the revelation of Rabbi Akiva. Moses looked at the souls of the Israelites. Many of them had in what's called the building of the Mishkan, basically in meaning is the building of life, the manifestation of their purpose in this world. Many of them had desire and manifestation. They had a desire to bring great light into their lives, into the world, and they manifested it. There was one group of over 1,000 souls at least, or roots of souls we can call them, that had the desire, but never manifested. Had the desire, but never manifested. Moses thought, if you have a desire, but it doesn't become manifest, then the whole purpose of desire is to manifest. Desire on its own is certainly not as important as manifestation, but desire divorced of manifestation is maybe completely worthless. And therefore, as Moses is sitting there and meditating upon the souls, he says, okay, this person makes sense to me. He or she could be looking at us, even say, okay, they have a desire for this. They've manifested part of it. They're going to continue to manifest, and so on and so forth. But he asks himself the question that maybe sometimes we ask ourselves, what about if you have a desire and it doesn't manifest? How important is that? Is that forgettable? Is that unimportant? Is it insignificant? then when it says that Moses forgot about that monies, it means he forgot about the soul, meaning that he gave little to no importance to desire on its own. Rabbi Akiva, and we will come to see hopefully a little bit deeper why, was the revealer of the power of desire in our world. And therefore he comes to Moses and says, Moses, I understand that you're very excited and appreciative and you see all the souls that are desiring and manifesting. But when you see souls that are only desiring, you in some way think that they are forgettable, they are insignificant. You have to understand, Moses, that the desire, and by the way, even sometimes the desire unmanifest is the most powerful thing in the world. And that's what the soul of Rabbi Akiva came and revealed to Moses. And that's the secret of the story when it says, what are the crowns above the letters? The crowns, we know, as the Kabbalist teach, represent a desire before manifestation. The letters are the manifestation of what we do. It becomes manifest in our world. But the desire is the letters. Rabbi Akiva's entire work in this world was to reveal to the world the power of desire. The power of desire. And now we begin to understand what this Shabbat is about. This Shabbat is about, I would say, first appreciating in a new way the power of desire, and then maybe having a few practical tools to really use this great power. Many of us know the story, and this is because it was connected to the root of Rabbi Akiva, how Rabbi Akiva became Rabbi Akiva. My mother was always fond of repeating the story. It appears in the Midrash. Most of us know that Rabbi Akiva, for the first 40 years of his life, was completely disconnected from the light of the Creator. He had no desire, no connection to wisdom. And the story is told that one day he's sitting by a rock that has water dripping on it, that has been dripping there for many years, and he sees this big hole that was created by the constant dripping of the water. And that awakened within him the understanding is that even if you don't have anything, as he didn't until his age 40, but you slowly but surely awaken a desire for something, and there might be small desire in the beginning, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, you can create that cavern, that, as we call desire. Desire, even if you don't have it in great measures to begin with, if you desire for desire, eventually over time, it will be able to become manifest as something practical. But again, his great revelation and the secret of that story is not the secret of transformation. It's a secret of appreciating desire. Appreciating desire. And that's what he realized. He realized, I am 40 years old. I haven't done anything in my life. But I'm not going to begin by trying to manifest. I'm going to begin by appreciating and awakening desire. Desire. There's another story related to this, which is in some ways less well known, that the explanation of the soul of Rabbi Akiva, which now we understand is the explanation or an understanding of the power of desire, is the following. A person is sitting on the top of a huge mountain with a little axe, and he's hitting away at the stones. And people walk by and say, what are you doing? He says, I'm taking this mountain, I'm putting it all the way in the Jordan River. He was standing, it's a mountain right by the Jordan River, this huge mountain. And people walk by and they start laughing at him. You are going to sit here and move this mountain? But over time, a day to a week to a month to a year to a number of years, and finally, the entire mountain has been moved into the Jordan River. This, the Kabbalists say, is the secret of Rabbi Akiva. And this again relates to what we said, the secret of desire. We focus, even when we think about desire, we focus on desire as a tool for manifestation, rather than a tool, call it miracles, we'll call it great light. There is nothing, the Kabbalists say a phrase, I think many of us have heard this before, Rachman Ali Babai, that the Creator only desires our desire. What manifests that is very, very secondary? Desire. If you read, as most of us, we've spoken in years past, throughout, from the whole portion of the creation of the tabernacle, again, which represents the creation of a transformation in our world, the constant phrase all the time, Asher nesa'o libo, all about awakening the heart, the awakening of desire, because that is what changes things. That is what changes things. Rabbi Akiva is the soul that revealed in a true sense the power of desire in our world. And I want to read, there's a verse in Job, that Rabbi Tarfon, the great Kabbalist, used to express the light of the soul of Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo Rabbi Tarfon says to Rabbi Akiva, he says, what is your work in this world? What have you revealed in this world? Mibechi naharot chavasht v'ta'aluma yotzi'o. You reveal into this world the great light that has never been known before. And it continues, Bechol yekar ra'ata eno. The soul of Rabbi Akiva was able to see where the great light is. Okay, so now we are beginning to know what the Shabbat is about. It's about desire. But what we were talking a little bit last night, and one of the Chevre reminded me that on Purim, I shared that one of the biggest jokes, one of the silliest things about us, is that we think we have desire. But in truth, the desire that we have is, I don't want to say nothing, compared to the true desire that this Shabbat is about, is almost nothing. Again, we've shared in year past, Nachmanides, the great Kabbalist, says that the Israelites who built the tabernacle had no prior knowledge or wisdom about how to build any of it. They were not craftsmen in any way. They were slaves for so many years. They had no idea. No idea. But because they had a powerful desire, they were given in crazy ways the wisdom and understanding and direction to do things they had never been able to do before, that they had no knowledge of how to do. So I ask you, we think we have desire. When was the last time you did something that you had no idea how to do? Because that's what the Kabbalists are telling us, is that if you truly have desire, then things that are impossible for you to do, you're able to do. You don't even know how it comes to you. You don't even know how the wisdom and direction comes for you. That's real desire. Desire is not my thought of what I want to manifest and then I manifest it. Desire connects us to a realm far beyond anything, what we call the endless. And this is an important understanding. Only if we have endless desire can our desire be connected to the endless light. So you wake up, person wakes up in the morning, he or she needs X amount of money for their family, for their work, and so on and so forth. What happens? You wake up, oh, I want to make this amount of money. That's desire, right? That's desire. And even if the number is big, or the thing that I want to build is big, so I have a great desire. And if it's even bigger than that, I have a bigger desire. All those desires are not connected to the endless light of the Creator because they're limited, right? They have to be limited. Whatever that number is, no matter how big it is, no matter what you want to manifest, no matter how big it is, it's less than endless. And if it's less than endless, then that desire isn't even connected to the endless light of the Creator. When we talk about desire, when Rabbi Akiva reveals the power of desire, what he's speaking about is endless desire. And I want to ask, and this is the Shabbat, we have to ask this question. When was the last time you had endless desire? Almost all of our desires are limited. Even the greatest desire that you've ever had probably is limited. And the problem with that is that a desire that is limited is not connected to the endless light of the Creator, and therefore it's much more difficult to manifest even that small thing, because it's not connected. The desire in the beginning is not connected to the endless light of the Creator. The reason why it's important to have endless desire is because only through endless desire are you connected to the endless light of the Creator, and then you can manifest crazy things. If you have a great desire, it's not connected to the endless light of the Creator. What Rabbi Akiva is telling us, and this is what I hope we all go through, we have to begin with the understanding we don't appreciate desire and we don't have desire. And when we say have desire, we're talking about the endless desire. When was the last time you woke up in the morning and said, again, it can't be said, again, I'm sure many of us have desires selfishly, but the reality is to connect to the endless, it has to be much greater than you. You have to wake up every single morning. And if any day that is not awakened with its desire is a day that our desire is not connected to the light of the Creator. When we wake up every single morning, we are meant to have the desire that I will reveal the light that will transform the world. It's kind of crazy, right? I mean, none of us have, we would say, an ego big enough to even have that desire. The problem with not having that desire, as we said, is that then our desire is not connected to the endless. And then even the manifestation of that $1 that you desperately need today can't really happen. You have to begin with endless desire every single day. Every single day, you have to begin with endless desire. And again, let's be honest with ourselves. When was have we ever had endless desire, number one? And number two, when was the last time you had endless desire? Understanding that to the degree that we do not live, this is what the Shabbat, we do not live with a constant, endless desire. Which, as we said, I wake up in the morning. This is, by the way, you want to know what the purpose of prayer, the purpose of Shacharit, as we call it, the morning connection, is just this. To wake up every morning and say, my desire is that what I manifest in the world today completely transforms the world, that I become a conduit for the endless light of the Creator. Endless light to the Creator in all things, for myself, for others, for the world. Then your desire is connected to the endless. Then you can manifest even the small things. But if you do not begin with an endless desire, then it becomes much, much more difficult to manifest even the small things, because your desire, which is the root of all things, is not connected to the endless. And that's what this Shabbat is about. As we said, first, to understand that our desire is a joke. That even when we've studied Kabbalah and we understand that you have to have a desire for anything to manifest, but what kind of desires are we talking about? We're talking about desires of a child in the playground. What Rabbi Akiva, what Moses, what this Shabbat is about is understanding in a different way, in a deeper way, in a practical way, that we must live with endless desire. I would recommend, not only in the morning, but at least 3 times a day, stop and truly ask. And the first, I'm sure, by the way, for many of us, the first time we're going to feel a little silly, right? Can I really be asking, I be asking with truth, that the totality of the light, of the endless light of the Creator be revealed through me today to transform our world, to have endless blessings in all ways and all things for myself, for those around me, and for the world. It's not going to be true to us. Maybe the first time, maybe the second time, but you have to. You have to. A person who lives without awakening endless desire consistently will always, always, always be limited, even in what they desire to manifest. Because desire is the only thing that has the ability to connect us to the endless. Because again, in desire you could be limitless. In manifestation, not so. Nobody in this world can ever be limitless in manifestation. You could be great in manifestation. You can manifest many, many things, but not limitless. The only tool that we have, the only part of our soul, of our essence, that can actually be limitless, that can actually connect us to the limitless light of the Creator, is desire. But we're so silly in that we take that powerful tool and we say, oh, this is what I want. In our mind it's this, but in reality it's this, and worse, it can't connect us to the endless. So, Rabbi Akiva, Moses, on this Shabbat come and tell us, listen, first of all, forget about what you thought you desired. Forget about whatever you thought your level of desire is. And understand your desperate need to awaken limitless desire in all things, at least in the morning, at least once a day, if not 3, at least 3 times a day. Because then your desire is connected to the endless. Then you can manifest more and more and more and more towards the endless. But if you do not begin your desire with the limitless, with the endless, you wind up manifesting only small pieces. Only small pieces. Which connects us, and again, it's a lot more that can be said, to the other reading that we have today. It's called HaChodesh. Most of us know that before even the redemption from Egypt, the first thing the Creator tells Moses to tell the Israelites is the concept that they are now going to live their lives based on the moon. Not the cycle of the sun, but the cycle of the moon. What is the secret of the moon? What is the secret of the moon? This is the gift of the Shabbat. The moon gets to 0 every month. Every month, the moon gets to 0, right? We see the moon beginning to shine till the 15th, and then it becomes diminished, and goes back to 0. What is going back to 0? Going back to 0 means understanding that my desire is nothing. Why does the moon shine to us in the beginning, the first day, the second day, more and more? Because the moon's desire for that light to be revealed goes from endless desire and begins growing. That's the secret. When the Creator tells Moses, tell the Israelites, HaChodesh hazeh lachem, you are going to now live your life based on the lunar cycle. It means based on the consciousness of the moon. And what's the consciousness of the moon? Especially now, not coincidental, of course, we're coming into a new month. When you come to the end of the month, the consciousness needs to be, I have 0. I have 0 desire. I have 0 desire. The purpose of what's called Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, the purpose of this reading is to come to understand that the only way forward is by awakening and connecting my desire to the endless light of the Creator. In truth. In truth. And then, and only then, can I have the ability to manifest more and more and more. So that's what the Shabbat is about. First, to understand that we have no appreciation for desire. Then to realize that even what we think our greatest desire is nothing. And thirdly, and this has to become a constant reality for us, a constant tool that we use, wake up in the morning and maybe I was going to say instead of, but in part of, but your morning connection must be an awakening of endless desire. An awakening for endless desire. Then you can manifest. And then in the middle of the day, stop and say, okay, I've been spending my day in manifesting this and manifesting that, using this amount of desire, but I don't want to get confused. My desire isn't this. It certainly isn't this. It's endless. And this will not have, by the way, this will not transform us in the first day, because the reality is that this consciousness, this concept is, for many of us, far away. We are conditioned, we are confined in such small desire. But as we said, the only way to connect ourselves and our lives to the light, to the endless light of the Creator, is if every single day and every single month and every 3 times a day we reconnect, we reawaken endless desire. And then what we call redemption, then all pain, all suffering can ultimately be removed, but not work that is not attached by consciously desiring limitless, once a day, 3 times a day, in the beginning of the month. That's the secret of the Shabbat, both of the reading and the special reading that we have. And that's the gift the Creator gives us today. As we said, first to realize we haven't begun to appreciate desire. Second, to realize that what we think we have desire is a joke. And then beg the Creator, beg with the assistance of Moses and the soul of Rabbi Akiva, let me understand desire. Let me awaken every single day, 3 times a day, every single month, throughout the month. True desire, true, endless desire. And B'ezrat Hashem, those of us who will have the merit to truly use the tool of connecting our desire to the endless desire of the light of the Creator, we will see, we will start seeing the miracles, the greater and greater things manifest in our lives. B'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.